What's up, my statistical nerds? We're back at you again. FPL Fantasy coming off the tail end of game week 3. It seems like a lot of you got pretty beat up, but I'm feeling pretty okay right now. Going into game week 4, we're going to do our normal rundown that we have. So we'll go over last game week's items. We'll talk a little bit about some questions and controversies going into the next game week, and then we'll look at our game week 4 teams. But before we get into that, I have with me my man, as always, my co-host Doc. Doc, what's going on?
Well, I just want to say to everybody, whatever we're saying in this video, if I say something, just don't listen to me because I'm joined by a top 20K guy with me here. So, yeah, Joe, I'm glad you're doing great, and we're going to get into our teams and see how you're doing. But I'm happy to be here again, and let's get into this episode.
All right, let's get into it. So, sliding over, Doc. Oh, I got your team up from game week 3. What do you see here? What went good? What didn't go good? How are you feeling?
How can you ask what went good? Look at the team. Look at it.
Uh,
Yeah, big at the
Solid
back.
captain.
Yeah. Well, thanks for making me feel better. But yeah, Salah captain actually got me up like a million positions after the goal because I was like 1.8 million before his goal on live FPL, and after he scored, I went and checked, and I was like 800,000. So yeah, yeah, that's a good sign. But big at the back is not working. I'm still keeping confidence. I think I'm gonna trust my gut on this one. We're gonna see our teams by the end of this video, and yeah, it was an extremely disappointing week. My team is also extremely template. Maybe for Walker is my main differential. Maybe Luis Diaz is also another differential. But the other nine are extremely template. And when the template doesn't do good, I don't do good. So rough week. I went down from like 250k to 750k, but I keep tweeting about this. Rank is not everything at the moment. You take really rank into consideration around game week 18, 19. That's when you start like, okay, I'm gonna get my stuff together and make things work. But for now, I'm actually happy. If I'm not in the top million after 10 game weeks, I'm happy. So let's see how how next week goes.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you understand this, but for some of our viewers out there, I mean, we had the winner of FPL last year come back from like 400,000 with like 10 game weeks left. Like, it's never too late. Never count yourself out unless it's game week 38 and you're in the top million, or you're further back than the top million. Then maybe it's time to get a little more realistic with where you're going to finish off. But all right, switching gears to my team. So ended up with 64 points. I scored 68 and took a -4 last week to get in my man Rodrigo. Sitting, like Doc had mentioned, top 20k, 17, 57, 3. Some things that went really good, same as you. That Salah captain really did the boost right at the end. I think before the game I was, or like when the game started, I was probably like 85,000. So it gave me almost a 70,000 rank jump as soon as Salah brought in some points. Rodrigo worked out fairly great. I think I was for the most part like a net, well, including the transfer hit, I was -3, but doesn't feel so much like that because I'm not planning on transferring him out right away. So I'll collect that -3, I'm pretty sure, more than happily. If you watched our last episode, I said in the next 3 game weeks Rodrigo was going to get a goal and an assist. He had to prove me wrong. He said bet, and he got a goal and an assist in the first game. So I don't even know where to go with the prediction now. But if he wouldn't mind getting, I don't know, a hat trick of assists and goals, like that wouldn't be the worst thing if he's feeling up to it this next game. Yeah, I kind of countered that big at the back aspect of it with Zinchenko and Dyer both bringing in some points for me. I have like a weird tactic as a manager where I try to never double up on the defense. There's some instances where teams are doing really well and you just can't really avoid it. But I mean, we're talking about people that had doubled up on City and Chelsea, which seem like a bet. And even if Chelsea lose their clean sheet, I've said it before, the defense is where all of their goals come from. So yeah, it's a rough week. It's a little bit of an anomaly for everybody that did go big at the back. Still waiting to see what happens with Liverpool assets in the back, but wink, wink, hint, hint. We might talk about those in a minute or two.
Yeah, and if you look at both our teams now that we had both our teams in a row, there is not much difference in the team. Like we both have Trent Alexander-Arnold, we both have Cancelo. You have Zinchenko, I have Ramsdale, so kind of the clean sheet is covered there. We have Salah, we have Martinelli, we have Haaland, we have Jesus. More than half of the team is the same. But you managed to find those differentials that kind of against the template, and the template didn't do well. Like your Rodrigo's my Diaz basically, and Rodrigo got 13 points, Diaz got 2. So you're playing FPL the way it should be. It should be played, kind of like get the points and go to the players that you think will get the most points. I did the same. I'm not saying I didn't do the same, but what I'm saying is ranks are very close together that one player can make you jump 100, 200, 300k, just one player here and there. So a word of advice, I would say, trust what you've researched, trust what you are seeing, and do not like rage wildcard. Let's say I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I don't think now is really the time to wild card unless your team's been in absolute shambles for 3 game weeks. But even then, they'll follow through for you. Give them a chance.
Speaking of giving them a chance, we're going to talk about Robbo out. I think it's one of the most talked about in the community, being Robertson out. What do you think about that, Joe? Would you take Robertson out?
So I would actually go even further. I would say last week it was Robbo out. I would say this week it's Trent out. Everybody's really talking about it. It's hard because we know there's points there, but Liverpool is missing a ton of quality players, and they're having a real hard time settling into the season. I think if you have double Liverpool defense, it's not unrealistic to maybe consider moving on one of them. I may or may not have moved on my one Liverpool defensive asset, which we'll look into, but it does offer a lot of money to spread across the team and really kind of help solidify some positions that might be more shaky. And if we think about it, you can get a really good 4.5 defender. You can't get a really good 4.5 midfielder. And same goes with 5 million and those lower price points where you can shift 2.5, 3 million over to these other positions. My other thought is I think if you don't have a wild card anymore, be very cautious if you take those players out because it's going to be even harder to get them back in. If you have a wild card, it's going to be a fairly easy shift once Robbo and Trent and the rest of the team find their legs. That's where I'm living. Too long didn't listen is basically do it if you have double, if you have single, do it at your own risk. If you have a wild card left, feel more than comfortable. If not, yeah, I don't know about that one. How about you, Doc? What are you thinking about that?
Well, as everybody can tell by now, our subscribers, our audience who have been watching for a while with us now, we are totally two different managers, and I'm gonna have to disagree with you here as well. I wouldn't transfer Robertson or Trent Alexander out this game week because Bournemouth have the worst XG this season so far. Yes, they had a couple of tough fixtures, but they are literally 20th for XG. So the likelihood of a clean sheet for Liverpool is extremely high. I sold Robertson last week to just restructure the team because I had 2 free transfers and I brought Luis Diaz. But if I had Robertson this game week, I wouldn't transfer him out, especially while having him in the beginning of the season and while selling him last game week. I was watching him closely and he's always somehow involved. However, there is a caveat. I do not like that Simicast started to make appearances. I don't think he will be bench. Robertson will be bench versus Bournemouth, but I can see it happening with this fixtures congestion that we have because we have a midweek fixture now every single game week up to the World Cup. So I wouldn't sell Robo, I wouldn't sell Trent Alexander-Arnold, at least not this game week. Let's say just give them one last chance. I'm gonna give my 3 Liverpool at least one more chance.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. If you're gonna hang on to them, give them that one last hurrah, make them prove themselves. If they can't against Bournemouth, it's gonna be a long season for them. So moving into, I guess, another Liverpool asset potentially, captaincy. What are you looking at for captaincy, Doc? And what are some that might be a good differential? Do you think?
Well, the most 3 that will be captain this game week are Salah, Jesus, and Haaland, and I'm very close to Salah over Jesus. This is very close. Third option is for me is Haaland. Again, for the people who have been watching us for a while, they know how much I love Crystal Palace, and I even call them like my second team after Manchester. Like in the Premier League, I like watching them. I like what Vieira's doing with them. They're playing solid as a unit. However, I saw it somewhere. Someone mentioned that Fulham, which is the opponent of Jesus, the opponent of Arsenal, are having the most chances, actually big chances conceded. So they've conceded 10. Bournemouth have conceded, I believe, 5, and Haaland, which is Crystal Palace, have conceded 6. So if you take it by this metric, then is Jesus captain? That's why he's my vice. I'm going for Salah because I'm trying not to overthink it. It's Bournemouth, a newly promoted team, and probably Liverpool and Klopp will try to get a reaction after we won against them in the derby. So I think Salah is captain for me, and but if you want to go Jesus or if you want to go Haaland, I don't think it's wrong. I think both are good shouts and will have like people above 100 effective ownership, and we will be hating on a player that we own.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you on possibly two of them. Okay, I'm gonna be myself here for a minute. Salah is probably going to be my captain. I like Salah. We know what Salah can do. Apparently, he works as a captain in a struggling season of our premiums, at least at the start here. Holland is an absolute great captaincy pick if Foden doesn't play. The opportunities Foden takes away from Holland is ridiculous. I mean, we saw Pep took him off at 45 minutes 2 game weeks ago because there was the wide open opportunity. I think there was one or two chances this game week where Foden dribbled down, drilled it right into the goalkeeper, and Holland's just standing there like, I was right here. You could have drilled it at my chest and it would have rolled in. So yeah. If Foden doesn't play, Holland instantly becomes maybe even the best captaincy option. But I can't guarantee that because Pep is unexpected. He has no clue what he's doing up until the game has already started, and then it's too late for us fantasy managers. My replacement, instead of Jesus, and I like the guy. He's I don't know, what's he, 180% owned now? I I think Tony could be a good captaincy this game week. I believe he plays Everton. Everton, we know, are the toughest defense in the league, clearly. So I think Everton also has a lot that they're trying to figure out. Attacking wise, they don't really have a great attack to pull pressure off of their defense, where I think a team like Fulham, we've seen them. People are bringing in Fulham assets like crazy now because they're cheap and they're actually getting some results. Maybe not defensive assets, but the attack at least relieves some of that. So yeah, Tony is my number 3 shout instead of Jesus. What do you think, Doc?
It's not a terrible shout. Everton are the third worst when it comes to expected goal conceded in the first 3 game weeks. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a bad shout, but I think this is really, really, really outside the box. Like it's out there. So, like most people will captain Salah. Let's say majority of the people will probably captain Jesus. I would say Haaland if you want to think outside the box. But if you want to really go outside the box, it's Tony. He's on penalties. He's guaranteed 90 minutes, and he's playing at home versus the third worst statistically defense in the league. So I don't think it's a bad shot. I don't think I would be able to do it though.
All right, you convinced me. Tony's my captain. No. We're still sticking with Salah unless something dangerous comes out. All right. So, Doc, final thing to talk about going into game week 4 before we get to our teams. Best goalkeeper. Everybody knows mine. What's yours?
Actually, Henderson will be a great shout, yes. But again, I would want to say that Henderson, I just mentioned that Everton are the third worst defense when it comes to expected goals conceded. Nottingham Forest are the worst when it comes to expected goals conceded. That's why Henderson has been getting a lot of his points. It's just the save points that got him the points, and also the penalty save that we had also. So Henderson is definitely a shout, but if I was on a wild card and if you ask me who would I go for now, it would be probably Sanchez. Brighton have nice fixtures and have been playing phenomenally defensively. I think Caicedo's playing very well and giving them very good defensive solidity. What about you, Joe?
Well, you said everything I'm thinking. Henderson, and that's it. Because after you said his name, I stopped listening.
Yeah.
Um, no, Henderson
This
is.
guy got you top 20K. I don't blame you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Henderson is just. He's a quality goalkeeper. Clearly, the expected goals conceded is the worst. And the man is basically laughing in the face of expected goals conceded because he's gotten 18 saves this year in 3 game weeks, and he got 7 of them last game week. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Henderson, hands down, is my shout. If you don't agree with it, you're wrong. But the other option that I have to throw on the table is a more expensive Henderson. How about Jose Sa? Because he's sitting right up there with the same points. He's 5 million, which okay, he's all right. Good Wolves team. Wolves typically are defensive powerhouse. That would be my second shout out if you have point 0.5 that you're willing to spend in the back. Otherwise, yeah, sure, Sanchez. Be boring. That's fine.
Well, if you don't want to be boring and you want to be somewhere in the middle between excitement and boring, Raya is a great shout as well. Brentford are playing very well. They're an exciting team to watch, so Raya can be a great shot. But yeah, if you press me for an answer, it will be probably Sanchez for a 4.5 budget. Like
Mm-hmm.
Ramsdale has phenomenal fixtures. Jose Sa, we have a lot of options in that price point. But if you have like if you're wild card and you're looking for a 4.5, I would go Sanchez.
Fair enough. All right, Doc, got your team up here. What's the plan? What are we thinking for this game week?
Well, home games galore here, so I'm happy to have this team. I'm rolling the transfer probably depending on, of course, press conferences and any injuries. I don't see a really transfer that I would really like to make. Walker is starting to become a bit, let's say, not frustrating, but a player that I would consider taking out because just the way that Pep is utilizing him. I love that I'm having a Man City defender for 5.0 is absolute steal, but the upside is not there, and I would like to chase the upside before the first wild card. So I've considered and tinkered with the idea. I have zero point 0.5 in the bank, so I've considered and tinkered with the idea to get Perisic in instead of him. But I think I'll stick with my guns for now. This team should do well this week. Last week, the whole team played away, right? So you're expected not to get a lot of clean sheets or a lot of points. Now all the team is playing at home. Chelsea are playing Leicester. Leicester is one of the worst defenses in the league, and I have hopefully 2 wing backs from this team going towards the Leicester goal. So I hope Ward stays playing and they might score a goal or a clean sheet here. Yes, I'm gonna hate on probably Jesus because he's gonna be 100% plus effective ownership. Otherwise, I'm happy with the team. I'm rolling the transfer, and I have a couple of plans in mind, which we hope to discuss in the next episode for game week 5, which is a midweek game. So it will be nice to go to a midweek game week with 2 transfers. But for now, it's Salah captain, Jesus vice captain, and the team stays as it is. Everybody's playing at home.
Yep, my normal complaints with your team, you still have James in there. Um, Case closed. Yeah,
I think even if he's injured, I wouldn't take him out just to spite you.
yeah, yeah. That's probably fair. That's probably fair. So now we have my team up. I made a couple transfers, a handful of transfers, some people would say. I'm actually on a -8 here with my team. But this is me. I live dangerously. I look at -8 points and I go, yeah, can I make that up in a week, 2 weeks? Yeah, I feel more than comfortable with that. That's kind of what I did with my -4 for Rodrigo. So what do I have here? I ended up bringing in Perisic because I do want a Spurs attacking defender, and I did have Dyer in there. Dyer was good to kind of hold the position for a little bit for me. Now I understand that Perisic might not start like he did last game week, but I'm okay with that because Perisic is crushing it on the attacking end. Even looking at the stats, I think he has like I forget like 20 or 22 crosses, which is like top 5 or top 10 and he has like 122 minutes played, and he's up there with people like, James and Trent, and I think he has like a million touches in the final third too, so he's sitting in that attacking area even though he's probably 60 to 80 minutes less played over these last 3 game weeks than our big at the back choices. So even if he comes off the bench, I'm confident he's going to send something in. Look at that freaking header to Kane this game week. That was ridiculous. I'm more than happy to have him for that. It just feels right. I know it's a little bit of a bandwagony move, but just because everybody's doing it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily the right move. And that's where I'm at. That's where it pushed me forward. I also brought in Trippier. I brought in good old Trippier for Trent Alexander-Arnold, everybody. Uh, big plays, big plays. We're trying to win the game here. So Trippier came in. I'm looking at it like this. Trippier is definitely getting attacking returns. He's definitely part of the attack. He's also gotten some defensive returns, sitting in that newly formed Newcastle line, the rejuvenated Newcastle line. So I'm not worried about him against Wolves. I think that's more than fine fixture there. And then if I remember right, their next game is actually Liverpool, which Liverpool, they look like they're still trying to figure things out. And if they still have all of these missing attackers and missing defensive minded players, I think that will be the last game Nunez is out, so don't have to worry about him running rampant on the back line. I'm more than fine with having Trippier for Liverpool, and then their fixtures look green from there on out. So, yes, come on in. Let's get these points. On top of that, Ivan Toney, I brought him in for his striker mate, Badman Brian Mbomo. Tony, I spoke about him in the captaincy aspect. I think he's a great player right now. He's really falling into the Premier League and getting his legs under him, so he's going to keep returning fairly decent attacking returns. His XG isn't necessarily anything that is like so astronomically lopsided, like if you were looking at like Brian Mbomo. He had decent okay XG, but like there was some luckiness to it. And then you have De Silva that has like the 0.000001 XG. He doesn't have anything like that. So Tony was the obvious move. Had to bring him into my forward line. That's my -8 right there. The only thing that I'm struggling with a little bit is having Madison as my one slot on my bench. I could bring in or could swap with Rodrigo because Brighton is fairly decent line. I could maybe take Zinchenko out because Zinchenko doesn't feel like he's getting as high as I want him to be on the attacking side of things for Arsenal right now. And it is Fulham, so I expect them to score probably 1 goal at least. Maybe a game somewhat similar, but a little more close than the Leicester game. There's a million moves I could do, but right now this lineup that I have, a 4-3-3, is where I'm sitting. Doc, what do you think about the team?
Well, I should mention that you and I talk almost every single day, and you didn't mention that you took Trent Alexander-Arnold out. Joe has a knack of doing this. He did it in game week 1 with bench boosting all of a sudden 1 hour before the deadline. I know about it. So I'm kind of shocked that you have done those transfers already. I know you were considering something like that. I could sense from all the talks that we've been having for the past couple of days, but I didn't expect that you've already moved. So everybody, you're watching my live reaction. Yeah, I would have not have taken after everything we have said in the previous section. I would have not have taken Trent Alexander-Arnold out, especially he's like first for expected goals, involvement in like among defenders, expected whatever, big chances created and all those kind of stuff. So I would have not taken Alexander Arnold out, but I understand why you brought Tony in. We talked about it, and I understand why you brought Perisic in. I understand that this was actually my planned transfer. If you remember in the beginning of the season, I always said I'm gonna bring Dyer in as a placeholder for Perisic. As soon as Perisic is ready, I'm gonna transfer him in. So I understand those two transfers. Of course, they were funded by Trent Alexander-Arnold out. I understand why you brought Trippier. He's one of my favorite players to watch play, and he's a great fantasy asset because he takes free kicks, some set pieces. So He's a great asset. Yes, they're facing Liverpool next week, but like you said, it's a sea of green after it. So good luck. I hope to see you in the top 10K this game week, and I hope all our audience also cheer you on, and we see the American FPL top in the USA and top in overall ranks. Why not? I would want to also urge our audience, leave your transfers down below and let me know what you think about Joe's transfer. I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah, that's why I don't tell you all my moves, cuz I want that live reaction captured with everyone right here. That's part of the
Yeah.
entertainment.
Well, I'm gonna summarize it. You are insane.
Yeah, that seems accurate. But you know what?
Yeah.
It would be insane for two Americans to win FPL back to back. That'd be wild.
Yeah, yeah. And if anybody is gonna win it, which is not myself, I really hope that you do. I'm cheering you on. Good luck, and I hope Trent Alexander-Arnold scores hat tricks.
Mm, please no. All right, Doc. So,
All right.
yeah, I just want to say, everybody, thank you for watching, liking, subscribing. If you haven't yet, we see the statistics. Like 80% of the people that watch the video don't subscribe. Are you one of them? Put that cursor right over the subscribe button and click it. Thank you. But in all honesty, yeah, let us know what you think about my insane transfers, my insane team. If you want to be like, how the heck did this guy even get that high up in the ranks? I don't know, so there won't be a good answer there for you. If you want to tell Doc, you're doing the right thing, you're going to get up there. Don't worry, the game just needs to settle. That's 100% correct. Doc will be up there. He'll be sitting blow right past me. And everybody, I just want to say, let's get these points, everyone. Doc, you got anything else you'd like to finish off with?
Well, let's get those points, and we'll see everybody on the next episode.
All right, see you, everyone. Bye.